up, everybody? It is Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. Welcome, episode number 9 of The Tasty Twist with Sammy B. I am your host, Sammy Blanchette. We're here once again at Okemo Valley TV Studios in Ludlow, Vermont. That's where I reside also as well, too, as a full-time solo acoustic singer, songwriter, musician. You can check me out on my website, sammybmusic.com. Want to give a shout out to Peter, Rebecca, and Patrick for their hard efforts so far in all the episodes, and to all the Vermont local musicians who have made the efforts to be out here. This is a brand new podcast featuring local Vermont musicians all across the state and or business owners, whoever wants to be involved. It's gone over very well so far. Don't forget to check out okemovalley.tv. Okemo Valley TV's YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that, and also download their mobile app on your smartphone or your smart TV. All the platforms to check out all the episodes of the Tasty Twist podcast so far, and all other podcasts and live videos and events videos for Okemo Valley TV. Well, we're mixing it up today. We normally do the interview talking part with our special guests. From start to finish, and then music at the end. But instead, we're going to have live music start right away. And our artist is originally from Massachusetts, and she lives down in the Dover, Vermont area. Please welcome everybody, without further ado, Allegra Larson.
Think I need a road trip, wanna be someplace else. I'm tired of always running, but what the hell can I do? I don't need a lover, want a ghost with some skin, kind that understands me and where I've been. Don't ask me where it hurts, I couldn't begin to explain. Stand in the ocean, waiting for the waves to knock me down. Sit on the side of a mountain, getting absorbed by the sound of the silence, sound of the water, sound of the blood rushing in my veins. The whole world's exploding, it's all one motion, the only constant thing is change. Say get over it, just give it some time. People say I'm sorry for their own peace of mind. Changing your behavior, well, that's what I like to see. But shred me to the core and then wish me well. Don't tell me that you love me when you're with someone else. Don't tell me you don't need me, then keep asking for my help. Stand in the ocean, waiting for the waves to knock me down. Swim out as far as I could, but the tide won't let me drown. Drowning my feelings, drowning my memories, drowning the joy of being alive. I feel so much in all at once, not sure if I'll laugh or cry. waiting for the waves to knock me down. Swim out as far as I could, but the tide won't let me drown. Drown in my feelings, drown in my memories, drown in the joy of being alive. I feel so much and all at once, not sure if I'll laugh or cry.
All right. Excellent feel. That was awesome. Very nice. Allegra Larson, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
You can follow her on allegralarson.com, where all of her things like YouTube, streaming platforms, Facebook, Instagram, merch, stuff, all of that
All
is
the good
on
stuff.
there. Yeah, you've been playing a long time already, huh?
Sure have. Yeah.
Basically since you were a teenager, right? Or a preteen, as you had mentioned?
Was in my first band when I was in 7th grade, playing Red Hot Chili Peppers and Nirvana and all sorts of silly stuff. Flight of the Conchords we were doing
That's
too.
awesome.
And then, throughout high school, was in bands, mostly doing covers. Didn't really get into playing my own original music until college. I started going to house parties, like just little. I went to school in Chicago.
What was your first show that you played live in front of people? When and what kind of venue?
So that's a great question. So the first time I guess I was on stage with the band, I probably was about 10 years old.
The same cover band?
Nope,
Yeah,
nope. So
different?
my dad's a musician. I grew up in a musical household. My dad's a musician, has been playing in the New England jam band scene, the Massachusetts jam band scene, and the blues scene, really for most of my life, all my life. And when I was about 10, I think I joined him on stage with his band and sang "Walking the Dog." I don't remember. Miss
that.
Mary Mac.
Oh, yeah.
All dressed in black.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
'Cause I knew
does
it.
who does that song?
I couldn't even tell you. I don't even remember. I just knew that I knew the rhyme.
Does that have any correlation to the Miss Mary Mac?
It's
All of them buttons.
It's
The
same.
Yeah,
it's the same. All the verses are the same words, and then you go walking the dog.
And you said he played guitar.
He plays the guitar and he sings. Yeah.
Nice. Still out
And
actively playing
Still
now too.
actively playing. He does he's in a ton of bands. He's in my band, Allegra and the Daydreamers. He also runs a blues night back in Newburyport, Mass. Jeff Larson's Blues Time.
It's right near Plum Island, right?
Right near Plum Island, yeah.
Did a wedding there one time, or attended a wedding there one time.
Nice.
Beautiful area. Yeah.
Oh my God, I know. Gorgeous, just gorgeous.
Yeah, and you said you played at a venue out there also too, the brewing company. There's a brewing
Newburyport
company out there.
Yeah, we'll be our band will be there next week, August 30th, the Friday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
awesome. Was it getting back to the playing for the first time and singing? Was it? You must have had like a lot of butterflies, like your first time.
I was
playing,
pretty
right?
nervous, but I was honestly young enough that it didn't really hit my radar. It wasn't until I was
flexing your muscles. You had the confidence.
When I was in high school, I was the lead singer of a band, like just a little high school group through the school. We had like a rock band club, and that was the first time I think I really felt like, oh my God, I'm singing for the whole school. I'm doing rock and roll for the whole school. But I kind of was like, well, I can be scared, and I am scared.
Was it a big audience?
It was the whole school. It was my
like
school,
how many kids?
My
in
school was
store?
pretty small. It was probably maybe 300, 400 people, which is still big.
For that point in your life, that's still a pretty good amount of people.
Oh my God! And for the first time, being out there, no piano, no nothing, and but I was like, you know what? I can be shy, which is what most people knew me in school for, as I was pretty shy. Mm-hmm. It's like, or I can do what I can just go for it, and I did. I was rolling on the stage. I was screaming. I was climbing on people's chairs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
People were looking at me the next day in class like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Like, who are you?
Yeah. Did you take a lot of lessons growing up, or did you kind of learn from ear?
Vocally, yes. Was in and out of voice lessons from around the time I was 5 or 6.
Did you enjoy it?
I did really like voice lessons. It was, Yes and no. I really liked it because I could feel myself getting stronger, and I could feel things that felt really out of reach suddenly becoming attainable. But I didn't like, as with anything, any industry, any craft, everyone has a different opinion, and everyone has a different style. And I do have a more bluesy rock and roll style. So when I was in a more classically trained classical program for voice, you sound horrible. You're doing all this wrong. You got to stop what you're doing. And so this is just what my voice sounds like. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't feel bad.
Meanwhile, maybe they didn't quite know your niche yet. Or maybe you were also figuring that out still yourself as well, too. Because having been in jazz and classical school and college also as well, too, I was finding myself throughout the course of the 4 years. So, yeah. But that's really great to hear. Did you play any other instruments besides piano, like guitar as well too? Were you exposed to that?
Really. I was certainly exposed to it. I when I was 10, I saved up every scrap of money I could, and I bought myself a little Fender Squier.
That's awesome.
It was about $100. Still can maybe play about 2.5 chords on it. I can do scales. I like to play the guitar.
Did you ever learn the Peter Green riff? Let me grab this really quickly. I don't even think I tuned this up beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Has to go to that infamous B flat.
That's right.
Give it that tritone sound.
No, I can do that one on the guitar. I can kind of play Fast Car. I can kind of play Smells Like Teen Spirit, but I can't do bar chords. I cannot. I've been recently.
Was it hard on your hands, callus wise, compared
to? Hard on my hands.
To?
It's just my hands don't want to go this way. They really want to go this way.
They just want to stay there. They don't want to.
I can do an octave plus spread down here on the left hand on the piano, but trying to wrap around the guitar, it just can't do it. I don't know.
I used to when I lived in Connecticut, I used to teach lessons every once in a while, and I would always try to avoid doing bar chords for students. And again, most of them were young; they're figuring it out, but. Open chords were hard enough for them callus-wise, especially when they're first starting out. But then you get them to do the bar chords, and that first wince of how hard it is on their hands.
Trying to go the 2 frets too.
Yeah.
It's like my hands.
My hands. What's that guy from SpongeBob? My leg, my leg.
Basically, yes.
The episode where SpongeBob is given the police officer role from Mrs. Puff. What would this town do without you, SpongeBob? The town's burning in flames. My leg!
The hall monitor.
Yeah, the hall monitor.
It's
that's right.
me that's got me.
Yeah. I'm the maniac. This looks like a job for the hall monitor. Like the tone of voice just like changes. It's awesome. You've mentioned in your bio, you cover so many different genres of music and artists. But we hold a special place in heart for the Dead and Fish. And you recently went to go see Fish.
I did. 48 hours ago.
48 hours ago, yeah. So how much on your sets do those two, amazing prominent jam bands still to this day, hold a special place in your heart for your set?
They always hold a special place in my heart during a set, but really it depends on reading the room. If I can see...
Good point.
If I can see, if I can see someone either has a Steely or has the donuts or has something, I'm going to go for it. If I just get a vibe.
If you see the dancing bear.
Dancing bear, But a lot of times I won't necessarily go for it. If I do, I'll play, Bounce, and I'll play Friend of the Devil. I will say, though, I've had some amazing...
I was about to say, do you have a favorite Fish or Dead song that works for reading the room the best?
So for Fish, I'm still kind of feeling it out. Bouncin' seems to still be the most common. I had a little boy come up to me when I was playing Waiting in the Velvet Sea.
Oh, that's a killer song.
2 months ago, he was about 10 years old. He came up to me.
You won't find moments in a box, but someone else will set your clock.
This little boy came up to me. And
Paige, if you're ever listening to this, Paige.
Love you, Paige.
Yeah,
you did a great job this weekend.
Paige, what's his nickname? He's Leo,
right? Chairman of the board.
Right. Gordon's Cactus or Gordo, and then Trey is... Big Red. What's Fishman?
Henrietta. But this little boy came up to me and he's like, "You were just playing Fish. I'm seeing Fish this weekend. Are you seeing Fish this weekend?" And I wasn't just yet.
Was that was for the festival? Mansfield. Okay,
but,
right.
In terms of the Grateful Dead, what's really cool about the Grateful Dead, hope I don't jinx myself by saying this, but the song Wharf Rat, almost, I can probably count on both hands the times I've started playing Wharf Rat and some man in a like golf attire will turn around and look at me like a ghost. He just saw or heard a ghost. Like, no, like, it can't be this song. I haven't heard this song in so long. It's like,
wait, no, is it? Oh, it is.
I have had some beautiful moments of people being like, "Are you playing Wharf Rat right now?"
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
There's no way. And it's always someone in a polo shirt. Always.
That's
like,
amazing.
It's amazing. It's like
maybe they just hit a hole-in-one in golf, and now their day's like really getting made.
Or it feels like it's like I just watched them have a flashback to like 20, 25 years ago, their younger selves. Like it's super cool.
From guitar perspective, can I give you a Fish song that seems to always work well?
Please.
And it's weird time signatures, but it's very, in my opinion, it's kind of big hit poppy for them. Heavy Things.
Heavy Things.
I love that song.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a fond memory I have of hearing that song, not just on the album, but seeing it sort of live for the first time. 1999, we were young, but that was like the pinnacle of Fish, I think, in their first stage of their career. The Big Cypress Festival down in Florida, where they did on night number 2, I think they did an hour and a half set early in the afternoon. Then they waited about 5 or 6 hours, pause, started their second set at like 11:30 at night, and it went all the way until 7:15 in the morning.
Oh my God, that's right.
And there was a moment, I remember watching a clip on YouTube one time of the late, great Peter Jennings of ABC News, the anchor at ABC News. And he was just covering the footage of the traffic down there, and then they cued right into Heavy Things from Fish, like live at that festival. Almost 90,000 people, I think, or whatever. But that was really cool. But I bring that up because from playing on guitar, I don't know how it would be on piano, solo acoustic, but people have always loved Heavy Things. And I do it in a different key.
Song,
I do it in the key of G, not C. But anyways, and then so you mentioned Friend of the Devil.
Yep.
What are some of your favorite Dead songs to cover?
Well, recently Crazy Fingers has been a super fun one, but that's another like
That's a solid choice.
Super obscure, like
a lot of chord changes.
It's so
a lot of major sevens, like a lot of
fun on the piano though. It's just so oh my God, what else?
Jerry's voice on it is beautiful as always.
I'm a big fan of the Jerry ballads. Like Stella Blue is another one I just love, and just hanging on it. Yeah, Stella Blue, Wharf Rat. My God.
You ever do Althea?
Althea's a big one.
That's one of my favorite ones.
Althea.
Yeah, my girlfriend loves that song also too. We have a theory behind Althea. So we are big fans of playing backgammon. You ever play the game backgammon?
Oh yeah.
So whenever we have like free moments in between like our work schedule, we'll play backgammon in the living room. Of course, our black lab Denver, like it's not about him, so he starts like grabbing a toy as we're playing because it's but Erica always wants to put on this amazing 17-minute version of Althea that Joe Russo's Almost Dead did with John Mayer at the Brooklyn Bowl in 2017. And it's so funny. We love listening to that song, and it's a great song, and John Mayer crushes it on that one. But she's like, you always win when we put that song on TV. I'm like, okay, well, side note, why don't we play a different song? Maybe that'll help your winning chances.
I know.
Or could it just be the dice? I don't know. But anyways, so you also mentioned Amy Winehouse as a big inspiration.
So on more on the vocal end of things, Amy Winehouse, Adele, Etta James, Janis Joplin, going a little further back. Aretha, the really bluesy, gutsy.
Yeah. She got a very good, powerful voice for that.
Yeah, I definitely sing, and as you can hear, talk from my chest. I grew up doing musical theater, and doing musical theater, I certainly developed a nice falsetto head voice.
Yeah. But they also give you a label for like your voice, like a soprano, an alto, a tenor, or a baritone.
You can't sing that, and like we were kind of talking about before, that's where it's like, blues singing, you'll ruin your voice in a year. And
meanwhile, you're like mentally, hold my beer, I can do this.
Yeah, it's like I'd rather feel through the music than be doing math in my head of like, no, my voice has to be like this, and I have that space is good to find, but I want to feel it. I want to get into the meat of it. I don't want to be doing calculus in my head.
When you took vocal lessons, did you and your instructor go over a lot of those artists that you mentioned, like influences,
Not
as far
really.
as dynamics, feel?
Not so much with voice lessons. Voice lessons, we really focused a little more on jazz standards and musicals. And musicals,
Autumn Leaves, All the Things You Are. Yeah.
My favorite
Blue
things.
Bossa.
Oh my God.
These are a few of my. That's a great song.
All that kind of stuff. And then, I was really, into like, Les Miserables, Hair, all those kinds of more that end of the spectrum. And then when I got into high school, even though I was still doing, I was in the bands and I was doing the musical theater, and I saw them as really two separate things. And like
probably a good learning experience learning both, right?
Definitely a great learning experience doing both. I think I probably did myself vocally a favor doing musical theater rather than being like, I'm going to be Janis Joplin when I'm, 13. I wouldn't have a voice right now. I wouldn't,
But it's okay to dream. Everybody has that.
Absolutely. But finding that nice blend of like, hey, I can still use this musical theater training, but I can make it a little grittier, and I can not be as afraid of, my voice, it's a muscle. My voice is strong. Like, I cannot be afraid of ripping it a little bit. And as long as I don't rip it too much, it's okay. And I can really I can choose the songs that fit well for me. Like Back to Black, just sits really well in my voice. Valerie sits really well in my voice.
That's a great song too.
Great song.
Yeah. That's also a very good feel-good people pleaser crowd too. Because I play Valerie also too. I love playing that song.
It's a great, and people love it. A lot of her other songs too. You'll play something and people will be like, "What is this?" Like, it's cool, but like, what? It's one that's well known enough.
Well, the big ones are Valerie and Rehab, right? Those are those are the big ones.
And Back to Black.
Back to okay,
that
right,
was the album that came out.
Oh, right.
And that whole album I think is just incredibly.
She was only 27.
27.
Right? Yeah, part of the 27 club.
Yeah. Tragic. Gone. I mean, can you imagine if we still had Amy right now?
Right. Well, and like I mentioned, you said you're 29. I just hit 35 last week. So when I hit 28 years ago, I was like, I survived. I'm past 27. I'm like, this is great. But now 35, for me, Bob Marley passed away when he was 35 from foot cancer.
That's right.
And Stevie Ray Vaughan, helicopter accident. He was 35. I don't know any other real big names that passed away at that age, but those are the two big ones.
I'm trying to. Someone recently, not super recently, but how old was Chester Bennington, Linkin Park?
Oh yeah,
he maybe was in his 40s.
43 maybe, 43? I think. Yeah.
But he
God, how old was Chris Cornell? Because that was right around the same time too,
they were
right?
like a few weeks apart. I had the absolute honor of seeing both of those bands.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my God, saw Nine Inch Nails 2014. Saw Linkin Park 2011. It delayed me getting my license for years.
Oh, Jesus.
It was the last.
What happened? There's got to be more to. There's got to be more to this story.
Total story to this. It was the last night of in class driver's ed for me, and there was a huge snowstorm.
You were right there.
I was right there.
You were right there.
And my dad was like, "Hey, we got tickets to a Linkin Park concert. You'd probably rather go to Linkin Park than go to last night."
Of course, obviously. Yeah. Even though this is an important part of my life that I'm graduating for and have to get reassessed eye training wise by the time I'm 80, let's go to Linkin Park.
Oh my gosh, so worth it. I crowd surfed multiple times. I went all over the barrier. I was in the mosh pit. It was amazing. But because I didn't do in person, now I can't do on the road. I can't do on the road training. And then I just slacked on it. I was like, I'll get to in person. I'll get to this. I'll get to that. Yeah. All my friends got licenses 6 months, a year later. So I was like, I don't need to drive.
That's all right. If they're good friends, they'll give you rides at a moment, right?
And then, for college, I lived in the city. So I lived in Chicago.
Oh, in Chicago.
Oh,
right.
It's an incredible public transit system. And then after Chicago, I was in New York City for a summer.
So you have a lot of city experience too. Yeah.
I love the city. Before the pandemic hit, my goal, I was in a play and I was like, I was going to be in a play that summer. And I was like, August, I'm moving to New York City. I'm moving to Brooklyn. I'm, doing this.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite part of Manhattan? Because I only have really experience with music show wise.
Yeah.
We'll just stick it on music. The Beacon Theater, seeing the Allman Brothers Band for many years with my dad when I was growing up in high school at the Beacon. They did like 13 shows.
That's right.
But my last memory of Manhattan was in 2017. It was the last time I was in New York City. I saw Fish for the Baker's Dozen at MSG. Oh my God. I caught the Jimi Hendrix night where they did Wind Cries Mary as the encore.
Magic.
2001 was in there.
Yeah.
Just shout out once again to Fish. I mean, crushing it 41 years still, and just absolutely on fire. Did their first festival in 9 years. But just to go
pushing it,
to go 13 shows without repeats, that's like hard for any
insanity.
band. Forget a jam
Just
band
13
that like
nights in a row of playing, like it's on your voice and your hands and your body, like.
Yeah. I got to ask, going back to those incredible grunge rock singers we were just mentioning. Did you ever see Stone Temple Pilots, Scott Weiland, before he passed away?
Interesting you asked me that. That was one of my first.
I love Scotty.
One of my first real concerts as well. I was 14. I had seen, my parents had taken me to the Grateful Dead, I guess by that point when I was 8 at Great Woods, Mansfield.
Was that with Warren Haynes? Was he in that incarnation?
I think it was the entire, I don't know who the guitarist was, but it was the whole lineup plus Donna.
Jimmy Herring might have been in the band, who was the full-time guitar player for Widespread Panic. The White Wizard, they call him.
That's
you gotta,
right. That's right, but,
I met him. Really super nice guy, humble.
Really?
But anyways, sidetracked.
So sorry.
No, that's me. That's me.
But I saw the Dead, 2003. Then I saw Avril Lavigne twice.
Nice.
A few years later, but then Stone Temple Pilots, freshman year of high school. I forget where it was, but that was my first real, like, teenage rock show. I had the privilege of seeing him. I feel so blessed to see him, Chris Cornell, and Chester Bennington all within the same 5-year period of each other.
All three have unique vocal ranges and dynamics as well too.
Yeah. No, they're all definitely vocal inspirations as well, and just stage presence as well too. All three of them just so in it, like so present.
Yeah. So one of the questions I was going to segue into off of that was, in addition to your experience with lessons and performing in different groups, how much have you learned from seeing some of your heroes live, concerts? What have you picked up in regards to what you pertain to now in your solo career or with a band career, as far as reading the room, like we talked about, or that engagement, or stage professionalism, like appearance? There's got to be so many things that you've learned, like the do's and the don'ts. There's got to be so many.
Oh my God! Between watching things and being like, wow, that audience interaction works really well. Like, wow, like humor, making humor with the band, making little jokes. People love that.
Something we need to keep going in 2024, by the way, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, for real. I really have started liking, like, if the crowd is digging it, but they're not necessarily in an applause crowd, I've started really playing with, like, okay, like, how can I blend the end of this song into the beginning of this next song? And I'm at the point now where I kind of need
without stopping, obviously.
Like,
right.
Time by Pink Floyd into Space Oddity is one of my favorite blends, because the end of Time blends into
Pink Floyd and the Bowie. I love it.
And Time Space. It just like conceptually works really well.
Yeah.
I do this, I call it medley in D, where I do Linger by the Cranberries into Going to California by Zeppelin into Harvest Moon into Waste by Fish, and I call it my medley in D. And
because Waste is, they have done it in D before. The studio recording is C, but they've done it like 20 something years ago. They did it in D a lot, and I like when they bring it up like a whole tone up to D.
And for me,
musical nerd talk, by the way, for
sorry.
everybody. Sorry.
But then I've got to also, like, people do like to clap. Got to tailor it back a little bit. People really do they do want to be engaged.
Do they clap at? This is a weird one. Like, so, not to totally steal the thunder there for a minute. You stop. Boom. Great. 3 seconds. they're hesitant to clap.
Of
Like,
course, like,
were they really
is it
paying
over?
attention? Yeah,
Or
yeah.
they're just-
Is it over?
They're on
Yeah,
their
yeah.
own. They're having their own experience
Of
in the
course.
audience, and which
Right.
is awesome, and which
But
they
it's
should.
but it's so strange, that 3-second pause, right?
Because
Yeah,
so up
yeah.
here for us, we're like, oh my god, they hated it. Like
Us being our own worst critics.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
But then, kind of off what you said too, some of the don'ts I've learned. Even if I'm in my own world of insecurity or my own world of exhaustion or my own mood or whatever, like, hey
Just
guys, how's
just
it going?
personal adult
How's
life,
it
right.
going? My name's Allegra. Like, hope you're all having a great night. Making some joke about something that just, wow, look at this rain behind. Like, look at, oh my, like.
Weather usually is one of the first conversations everybody
Weather,
relates to.
Or, oh my God,
we all
especially-
think we're weathermen without the
We
degrees.
sure do.
Right?
Or especially, playing in the ski towns. Like, how about that powder day? Like,
Yeah,
how about that,
yeah,
who
yeah.
hit the mountain today? That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to.
Shout out to your lifties for getting all the
Shout
snow
out to your
off all the
lifties.
chairs. Yeah. I've done that before working at Okemo. So
Yeah.
you work for Mount Snow also
work for
too?
Mount Snow,
What do you do
yeah.
there?
My first year, I was in the food and beverage department. My first year, so kind of way back to what we were talking about, I was between moving to Brooklyn or moving to Vermont. And I was dead set on Brooklyn. I really wanted to go to the city. I really do thrive in that environment. And then COVID hit, and everyone fled the city. And I was like, maybe I don't need to go to the most populated city in the country. Maybe that's not the path for me right now. Vermont seems pretty cool, though. They've got a great live music scene. I love to ski.
Did that fascinate you when you first moved up here? Like how much art and like talented cats
yes.
are up here?
So
I had that experience when I moved up from CT. I'm curious.
Yes, so I moved up, and everything was closed, but every single restaurant I talked to was like, oh yeah, we do have live music. It's just not right now.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'll come up, I'll work, I'm gonna lay the groundwork, I'm gonna like set the intention, I'm gonna make friends, like, and then hopefully when music comes back, I'll have laid the groundwork and I'll be able to start playing. And that's exactly what happened.
Did you spend a lot of time during COVID writing originals and also doing Facebook Live?
I sure did. So I really honed in on my piano skills during the initial phase of the shutdown. I was doing scales every day. I was writing every day. I was learning new songs every day. Really, this kept me sane. And this kept me from, maybe doing something a little dangerous, substance-wise, boredom-wise,
Sure.
just being on TV all the time.
Sure.
It really kept me mentally sharp and kept me looking forward to every day.
Sure.
And yeah, I really used that time to hone in on my practice skills. But my dad, I was living at home with my parents. My dad was like, no, we got to give something to the people. Let's just do something every day. And I think for a month and a half, we did it. And there were days, you look at some of those videos, there were days I did not want to do it. I was like, this,
Did you have a lot of viewers tune in?
Some days we did, some days we didn't. It all depended. We had a consistent crew of people pretty much always tuning in.
That's how I learned about Venmo and PayPal, by the way.
Yeah.
Because other than wanting to still showcase music to the world during the odd time, a couple of my music friends from Connecticut, I already lived in Vermont for a year and a half,
Yeah.
and I was gigging. I had a wild stretch, 7 nights a week
Sure. Oh my
during the
God.
winter for a while.
Yeah.
But my friends from Connecticut are like, hey, if you're doing as much Facebook Live stuff as you're doing, you should hop in on Venmo or PayPal. And of course, that's the business side of things. That's a traceable source of income, but still, it's income nonetheless.
Yes.
Because we're missing out on all
Yes.
this, as this was going on. So wild times, and I don't think we're still completely out of it 4 years later. However, I took it as an incredible learning opportunity
Absolutely.
about the technology side and the opportunities
No, it was
as
cool,
well.
and so many people love that. I hadn't started gigging yet. I played my first, if you can believe this, I played my first solo gig, 3 hours by myself, in December of 2021.
Wow.
Yes. No.
How was that?
Terrifying.
What was the longest you had gone for a show
by my solo?
solo? Yeah, prior.
About an hour. And it was
The additional 2 hours is it's a lot.
and
yeah.
it was a split gig. I was doing a duo with my dad, and we played together the first hour, and then I was like, hey dad, I really want to do my originals for the last hour. I really just want to do an hour of originals. I've never done it before. Please let me try before, you're not with me and I have to figure it out by myself.
Yeah. Kind of like going out into the real world, like even
Exactly.
post-college for the first time, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So
It's all relative. A lot of these things are like all relative in life.
So this first gig, it was I got the first slot at the station tap room at Mount Snow. It was just me. I think I had
That's at the base
That's
lodge,
at the
right?
base lodge. You
Across from the Bluebird chair?
right across from
Right
the
across,
Bluebird.
right in the top, right.
There's huge windows. You get a beautiful view of the sunset.
It's a nice
behind the
bar.
mountain.
Yeah, I've been in there before.
Awesome bar.
It's a real nice bar. Yeah.
But that was my first gig. I had a tiny speaker that thankfully one of my buddies who I play in a band with, he's like, nope, I'm giving you a PA. You are not going to survive this gig otherwise.
Thanks for the confidence boost.
No, he was 100% right. I am so, thank you, Hutch.
Shout out.
Hutch. but no, it was really, but that was a huge learning opportunity of like, okay, this song, they're not listening to it. Like, I just wasn't confident. Like, I was alone. And most of my friends worked at the mountain, so no one was there no one I knew for the first hour and a half. And that's where I was really like, okay, like, gotta win them over. What am I just I gotta go for it.
Yeah. You let a lot of people know that you were there.
I let a lot of people know, and
between Facebook or
word of mouth too.
Word of mouth.
I was at the time I was the assistant manager of the Corinthia shop. So I was in charge of the Corinthia retail shop over at the Corinthia Lodge. So I was telling people
the brand new lodge.
brand new one. So I told all my
I've never seen a retail shop there. I've only seen
we're hidden in the basement.
Okay.
We're mostly logo and goggles and all that kind of. We don't really have gear the same way. But
I liked working retail for Vail. I worked 2 seasons at Okemo for their retail shop.
Nice.
So special shout out also to my team at Vail Resorts and Okemo. I have I gratefully won a Epic Service award back in April. So, and special shout out to local icon and Vice President and General Manager of Okemo, Bruce Schmidt. Cheers, Bruce.
Cheers.
Love you, man. Back to that. So.
Most of the employees knew that I was playing, and a lot of our friends who weren't working at the mountain knew. But in terms of Facebook, I just didn't. I'd only been here for less than a year at that point,
right.
So I just didn't really have. I was still growing my network of people. I was really relying on, customers, guests being at the mountain. But it went well, and I was playing. She's playing in a band at the time and called Dr. Hammerhand. We're still together.
I like that.
I'm in about, in addition to the solo stuff, I have my own band, Allegra and the Daydreamers, and then I'm in about 3 other projects.
What's most active right now for you? Your solo career
Solo
or
career
bands?
is definitely most active for me. I play solo multiple nights a week. I have a residency.
Yeah, talk about your residencies
I have a
little bit.
residency
Yeah.
at Snow Republic in Westover. I play there every Thursday from 5 to 8. I will be stopping.
That's a nice spot, by the way.
Great little spot.
I like that spot. Yeah.
I'll be taking a break sometime in October for 6th season, and then I'll be back hopefully December or January. Just as the mountain gets busy again. And then I usually have one-off gigs. At the Dover Bar and Grill. I play a lot at Mount Snow. I play a lot still in Massachusetts.
How was playing at Mount Snow? You played at. I'm looking at the notes here really quickly. You had mentioned
played at all those venues.
The Snow Barn. That's the big one. That's the one right there. Yeah, Snow Barn.
Snow Barn is super fun.
That's a party. That's a party, right?
That is a party.
That's a party.
And we've usually played the opening of the Snow Barn, so like everyone's super stoked to be there.
Is that a late night gig or
not super late? Late enough to have to be at work at 7 a.m. the next day.
So like ends by 10 or 11
Usually 11. Yeah. I think 10 years ago it was more like a 1 a.m. 2 a.m. place, but before I got there. But
how is the work-life balance between a non-music part-time full-time job and this?
So 2 years ago, when I was still I was a full-time assistant manager, and I still had my residency. I actually had a different residency, but it was rough. It was rough on my voice. Between talking at work all day and then going to sing at night.
I can relate. I do that at the mountain every winter now.
I was realizing, I was like, oh my God, like this is getting really rough. And I was starting to also have to turn down gigs on weekends because I just couldn't work like a 10-hour day, go play a 3-hour gig, and then do it.
And that's a hard thing to do from an ego perspective, but also financially, because there's good money on the weekends, especially during the winter.
That's kind of what ended up happening is I was like, okay, last season was the first time I was like, okay, I'm taking a chance on myself. I only worked 2 days. I stepped down from my assistant manager role. I only worked 2 days at the mountain, which was great because I still had the consistent income from the mountain. I still had that network. I still saw a lot of my friends. Still got to ride in the day on my lunch break.
Yeah.
But and then I was like, okay, like I ended up playing, 3 nights a week, at least, and then I would have pickup gigs on the weekend. I could drive to Massachusetts. I could drive to New York. I could go to New Hampshire, wherever. And I, especially on weekends, and I wasn't held down by like, nope, I am in charge of this store. I need to be here. Like, I have an obligation that I'm not gonna, I decided, I was like, you know what? If I'm really gonna make this my career, I have to choose it as my career, and I just have to take the leap. Which is so terrifying at first. But
it's always challenging. I've been in your shoes many a years in my life, and still kind of currently to this day. We know that in a perfect world, I don't know if any of us anticipate getting big famous like Taylor Swift or Jelly Roll or Post Malone or even Fish. They probably never anticipated on this happening, but it's like until it gets to that point, it is sometimes a full-time job in and of itself, mentally being like, okay, am I getting burnt out from doing this a lot? Do I want to now get a full-time job doing something else? And then do I get burnt out from that and want to go back to this? Finding that back. I think I've got a good handle on it now, but it is hard because I worked with my family full-time in sporting goods retail in Connecticut for years. Balancing it both can be really challenging
Very
sometimes.
exhausting.
Yeah.
No, and I hear what you're saying.
But it's the nature of our economy and
running your own business. Like,
right.
We run our own businesses.
Yeah. But it's like the cost of living. Most of us, at nature of Vermont, folks, most of us are working 2 or 3 jobs in and of itself. Yeah. For better or for worse. If you can find stuff in addition to what we love that you also love, like working for a ski resort's a lot of fun.
Sure is. No, my to have of all the second jobs in the world to have, like, oh, I have to work at my ski mountain job. Like,
But, and of course, the perks with being able to ski and ride at many different mountains that Vail Resorts owns,
and now honestly,
or Icon,
and the music network too of like, oh, I play at Mount Snow a lot. Like I played a gig at Killington a few years ago. Outside of Killington, but still, it's like being in that same network.
It's resume building.
You
view it from the business side of things. It's resume building.
You guys saw me at Mount Snow. Like, go tell your mountains that you had a good time.
Yeah.
And also with in regards to making your own money through music, I've really started trying to lock in on passive income through like merch, through streaming, through selling CDs.
And you mentioned you have a bunch of singles on Spotify, and you released an album earlier this year, right, with your band?
That first song I played is called Blood in My Veins. It's the first song on my EP. To Stop the Void from Growing is the name of it. That's a lyric from one of the songs.
Nice. What's the album based on? Like the theme behind the songs?
That's a great question. I couldn't even really tell you. It just felt like the 5 songs that just I had been playing out the most and just felt the most ready. My first release, I had been playing with a band. It was like pretty. It was a pretty simple song, and playing it with the band, we really rocked it out. And I was like, okay, like I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna release a song. Let's see what happens. Okay, cool, that went well. And I had recorded 2 next to each other. It's like, okay, I'm gonna wait a few months. I'm gonna release the next one. And then I had those 2 out, and they were both pretty more. I would call them like alt indie jam, to put it in they're more of the alternative style, both in a minor key, like more like rocked out, but they can have some extended jam sections for sure. And then for my third release, I did just a piano ballad, which was terrifying. I was like, oh my God, there's no electric guitar, there's no drums and bass, it's just me and my vulnerabilities.
Had to feel good though kind of getting out of your comfort zone a
Getting
little bit,
out of
right?
my comfort zone.
challenge. Like this is for me being a
Yes.
podcast interview, and now getting out of your comfort zone probably feels good every once in a while once you can wrap your
And that's
brain
kind of what
around
the
it, right?
EP was for me, where I was like, okay, I'm going to try to put a collection of songs together. These songs feel the most ready. There is like a thematic thread. I didn't really have an intention with it, I guess, that I could like verbalize right now. Yeah, it's really, I guess, introspection and self-actualization. Like my first few releases were really more like relationship issues and FU songs, for lack of a better word. Like, and then this last EP release, it was really more like, okay, I've transmuted that energy. Like, this is about like, who am I? What am I? What am I here for? Like,
Right. When you write a song, do you focus first on vocals or the structure of the song?
usually the structure of the song. Sometimes I write a lot of poetry as well. I do a lot of writing.
That's great.
Just regular writing. Thanks.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But so a lot of times I'll have like 1 or 2 lines of a poem or 1 or 2 lines of something that have stuck out. And it's like, okay, I'm going to sit down at the piano. I'm going to play. And I'm not consciously necessarily thinking about it, but I'm going to play. I'm going to see what fun I can come up with, just, free form on the piano. And then...
Do you ever record it on your camera roll, like a video,
Oh,
just to
all
save
the
it?
time,
So
all
that
the
way you
time.
don't forget?
They're like, what is this 10-minute thing of my ceiling? Like,
Yeah. Why do I have no more iPhone storage on my? Yeah.
storage.
Why do I have to delete this stuff? Why do I have to buy 2 more terabytes
Exactly.
for $2.99 a month? Why do I have to do that?
almost everything on the EP, except for the 3rd song, pretty much every song on there, I sat down and I wrote start to finish.
That's awesome.
That's thanks. That's pretty rare for me. Usually I'll get like a chorus, I'll get a verse, I'll get something good. And then I get to what they call the second verse slump, where it's like I walk away from it, I lose that momentum, and then it takes me like years to...
I was about to say, isn't it amazing sometimes how it could take years for a song to finish?
Yes.
And that could depend on, once again, things being all relative, life circumstances. It could be, maybe I don't feel like writing songs now, but I have this idea, this story.
Isn't done yet. Like
Right.
that 3rd song...
From life experience. That's
that 3rd song is called Not Your Girlfriend, and I wrote it about different experiences of like being a woman and being like different roles you get put in and people trying to take advantage of you and all this stuff. And the first verses I wrote as a freshman in college. The chorus I wrote when I moved to Chicago. And then the bridge outro part I wrote as a grown person. And
That's what we are, right? People?
people,
I think we're people, right?
maybe, suppose-
Existeners.
that's what
right?
they tell me.
The heck was that word I just said? Existener?
Existeners.
Existener.
That feels more accurate sometimes. But and I think part of me was like, when I was working on it, like, this feels done. I don't know. I feel like there's more, and it's because I just hadn't walked through that door yet in my life, so to speak, versus that song Blood in My Veins I just played.
Yeah.
I remember I sat down I had been reading On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I was like, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna play some piano. The sun was like coming through a skylight. I just sat down and I just started playing it and just got the words down, tried to scribble them down as fast as I could before it was gone.
Yeah.
Man, I'm sure you have that too, or like, can't tell you how many, I think, amazing songs I have stream of consciousness put out in the universe, and they're in the ether now, and
In a way,
never getting that back.
Allegra, I think in a way, writing a song and recording it and getting it eventually out in the world, it's a different version of writing a book or
Yes.
writing poetry.
Absolutely.
Because authors of books and poets and people who come up with all these other different things in word or we're all expressing what we've experienced in our existence on this planet so far in our life. And I don't know how familiar you are with Upper Valley legend, singer-songwriter Jim Yeager, who's from Philadelphia originally, but I had him on episode number 3, and he just released a book for the first time in his life, and he's like mid-50s, and a lot of it just had to do with personal experience on every aspect of human existence, but also his experience as a musician as well, too.
Yeah.
And one of the things I talked about with Nick and Liz in my first duo podcast episode last week, I personally feel the older we get, the more experience we have to be able to talk about stuff like this out verbally for the next generation, whether they listen or not or absorb. So whether we have degrees or not, we're all kind of teaching the world. We're teaching the world and we're teaching perspective. Yeah. Which is what I love. Not only like it's great to get your work out there and like the money can be good doing this, even though the lifestyle hours are good, but we're making impacts in people's lives.
Yes. No, kind of back to what you were saying before. When I'm touring with like, oh man, I should just get like a normal job and just, go that route and not have to, this is exhausting doing this, like booking and promoting myself and post and writing.
It's a full-time job.
It's a full-time job.
Full-time job.
But like, and man, if I could just go back and work in an office and just know what I have to, and not have to
clock in, clock out.
Clock in, clock out. But then, like you said, it's like, but I'm providing a need.
Yeah.
People need this. People need it like food and water and air. Like
whether they know that or not.
Whether they know that or not.
Yeah.
No, and
Good point.
that's something that really keeps me going sometimes when I get exhausted and I get on my, in my ego BS of like, oh, I don't have as many, this as I want my followers, I have Spotify, like, I'm not playing this place. It's like, yeah, but you're playing for these people on this night and you're giving something to them right now in this moment. Like, something that's what matters.
Something's better than nothing.
Something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, live music, sorry.
No, it's all right.
The fact that live music even is still, it feels like it's a consistently dwindling thing in this world. Like,
and it's interesting. And I have to say, as always, shout out to all the venues in Vermont
yes,
and
thank you for having us.
Anywhere in the country and the world that hosts live music and pays us to provide live music for patrons and for your staff members. Yes, seriously, thank you. Because they're also making tough business decisions of like, do we just have a jukebox or do we actually like support people that are given a lot of time? So it's got to be like in challenging financial times, definitely for sure. I wanted to ask you, this is one of the many facets, and this can be another episode. I hope you'll come back also,
I would
too.
love
but
to.
Yeah, you having a blast so far today?
I'm having so much
Allegra
fun.
Larson, by the way, for those tuning in, wherever you may be tuning throughout the world, or just the country, or wherever, Vermont, wherever. It's been fun. Episode 9. You're so active with your career right now that while covers are the thing with reading the room, have you reached the point where you're confidently playing the original music and you don't even have to announce that it's one of your songs? You're like, okay, I don't have a set list going. I'm just going to play this and just see if they like it.
Not only that, but I'm starting to try to make the transition to playing primarily originals.
Yes.
And
Me too. It's a good feeling.
It doesn't
Hopping
feel
on board, it
doesn't
does.
feel
It
so
feels good.
Especially,
whether they clap after 5 seconds or right away. It's
exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, I've just kind of gotten to the point, as much as we were just so ironic because we were talking about how much we love it, but like the song Valerie, I am getting so sick of playing. I love it. I love playing it, but I reached a point this summer I was like, if I have to play this song one more time.
Oh, God. Well, you're going to get to the point where I've brought this up to my other podcast guests, is go back to that meme that I shared on Facebook and Instagram where you charge a certain percentage if you want to hear that again in the tip jar.
Yes.
Oh, God.
But,
that reminds me, which one am I tired of playing? I don't want to throw any shade to artists.
I'm not throwing any shade. I love
no,
the
it's
song,
a great song.
But that was one of the ones where I looked at it on my set list the other day and I was like, oh, no.
Okay.
But people love it. People love it. And I try not to be too financially minded playing, but I'm like, oh man, but that song gets me tips.
Right.
Knock on wood. That song gets me tips mostly.
Well, you right. And
how are they?
And this is another relative factor because, in a way, it's taken advantage of the people having a great time in like the moment, because it's like, hey, that's great. You could go from a Jason Mraz song to all of a sudden you go into Wagon Wheel, whether people remembers it at Old Crow Medicine Show or Darius Rucker. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you're like, ooh, This is a good tip opportunity. You become like
Yeah.
Mr. Burns from like The Simpsons.
That literally, that's how I feel.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, speaking of your original music, why don't you once again just remind the audience where they can find your stuff?
Hi, everybody. So you can find my stuff on any streaming. My website, first of all, allegralarson.com, spelled Allegra, like the allergy medicine or the musical term, whatever suits your fancy. Allegra.
I'm not in the medicine, but I'm into a good time, like with a good podcast guest.
And then Larson, LARSON.com. I'm also on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok as Allegra Joy Larson. All that stuff's on my website. And then Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Deezer,
Deezer, oh my gosh, that's
I go through DistroKid, so whatever.
No.
Also CDs if you're a CD person.
8-track cassettes. Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Vinyl's coming back, isn't it?
Vinyl's coming back.
Oh, we'd love to have vinyl. It would be nice to get to the point with our original music where the guy in the golf shirt looks, no, is it? Is it the song?
It's
that Allegra Larson song.
That would be magic. Especially since Wharf Rat's kind of like
Wharf Cat, I like that.
Wharf Rat's kind of like that's not one of their top best known Grateful Dead songs. You kind of got to be in the know on that one. So that'd be cool.
Kind of unpopular opinion. Sorry, world. Touch of Grey.
I don't want to talk too much shade.
I know. but I love me the Ripple Shakedown Street. Touch of Grey is a great song.
Yeah,
but
no,
I
I'm
love
definitely a American Beauty, slow Jerry ballads, like like we were saying before. That's my niche with them.
You know, it's a great, interesting Dead song with so many different chord changes. Box of Rain.
I
love that song. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's as complicated as it is. Listening to it.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of complicated, I did one time with the great Tim Palmieri, one of my best friends and monster guitar players in Lotus, Kung Fu, and The Breakfast from the New Haven area. Timmy,
you're awesome.
You're not a Vermont musician, but you're up here all the time. I'd love to get you on a podcast episode because we can talk the world about everything, especially our impressions of Wile E. Coyote, super genius, Looney Tunes, when Wile E. Coyote started talking. So what was the point I was trying to make?
Tim Paul and Mary.
Right, get him back there. Right, I had a point. What was it? Darn it, don't turn 35, or at least have the squirrel. What was it? Darn it.
Oh, I don't know. We've been going on so many tangents.
Okay, segue. The Eatery by Vermont Bliss. Thank you for the cruffins.
So delicious.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, your originals, what do you say? I get my guitar in the fold also, too.
I love this.
Perfect segue. Yeah. This has been a lot of fun today. Thank you. Now, you're already set up. We just have to get our sunglasses. Tasty Twist tradition after eating food. Sunglasses are fully absorbed.
Cheers.
Boom. Cheers.
Cheers.
What are we playing?
We're gonna play
that I don't know the chords to, but what are we playing?
We're gonna play a song called Eternal Blues. It was my second single release. You all can listen to it wherever you like, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube.
The world. You can watch it in the world. The world.
You can watch a cute little reel of me and my cat dancing to it on Instagram.
Hell yeah. That's where the moneymakers are right there. If we just had episodes with dogs and cats,
honestly.
Oh man.
But pretty simple. It's A minor. It's gonna be a It does that for most of the song. There's just part.
It's got a little House of the Rising Sun feel with the chord changes. I like this.
Yeah. And then it's got kind of it's got a bit of a groove to it. We don't have the drums with us, so you and I.
You sharing in the groove?
Sharing
in the groove.
Always sharing in the groove. There's one part. I'll just give you that.
Nino Arno, nice guy.
There's one part.
Mike Gordon, shout out once again. Fish.
Shout out.
That band from Burlington.
You did a great job this weekend too, brother.
Yeah.
You all did all for you.
I always love imitating the Mike Gordon head.
Bobbin.
Bobbin. Bobbin's great.
Wait. Before we play the song.
Yeah.
There's one part after the third verse where we're going to slow down.
Whoa, instructions.
I just want to let you know.
Okay.
I just want to let you know because sometimes I don't always say this and I just expect people to read my mind and the train kind of crashes on itself.
Great song by Gordon Lightfoot, by the way. If you could read my mind. That's the late, great
Beautiful
Gordon Lightfoot,
song.
one of the best singer-songwriters.
But it's going to slow down a little bit, then it's going to pick up speed a little bit, then it's going to slow down again, and then we're going to go back into it.
Gotcha. Is it like slowing down in the school zone, 25 miles an hour?
You like a school zone. More...
Is the blinking light on the mile per hour sign? You know that?
Yeah.
Right. Is that involved or no?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't even say it's like a school.
Is there a traffic cop?
It's not like definitely none of those. It's more like you're driving and you're going through the hills, and then all of a sudden you hit like a stop sign, and then you got to slow down, and then you keep driving, then you hit another one.
Right.
Or
right. Is there a deer involved?
I wouldn't even call it driving. I'd call it more like waves. Like
yeah. Oh.
And then it's coming back, and we're gonna do it. Like,
wow.
And now that I've done all that, let's hope it lives up to the.
Right. Is this like snowboarding, surfing etiquette also too?
Yeah.
When we get 12-inch snowstorms in New England, which is rare now, we need Mother Nature to cooperate this winter.
Yeah. No 4-foot one, please. That was a lot.
That's an episode for another time.
But yeah, exactly. It's kind of like taking a halt on your skis. Yeah. After shredding.
Without hitting on rocks.
Without hitting any rocks. Without hitting any ice patches. None of that.
No, none of that. Okay. Without further ado.
You told me once that I was pretty. You told me twice that I look good. You told me 3 times I was your lady. That's 3 times more than you should. Told me once you liked my kisses. You told me twice that you were bad news. You told me 3 wishes ain't nothing when you're stuck with a case of the eternal blues. Told me once you felt the music. Told me about how it soothed your soul. I watched you drive 2 sides of the same coin. She's like disco and I'm rock and roll. You asked me once to run away with you.
There's that stop sign.
Told me about how you grew up poor. I told you people fall in love by accident. Told you falling in love's like fighting a war. No one comes back the same. No one comes back the same.
Nice.
No one comes back the same.
All right. Nice.
If you like that song, you can listen to it with a full band on all that stuff. Look up my website.
You guys got any more new music in the works in the future?
Yes. Lots new. No dates quite set in place just yet, but I'm in the process of planning the next EP release.
Nice.
EP. I still have to figure out EP, album, single, what exactly
Yeah.
I want, but no, I totally have a bunch of new stuff lined up, and I'm itching to get back in there and release more.
Last question for you.
Yeah.
Actually, two questions for you. So back on that, the recording process in the studio, you like it? Have you had a good experience with it over the
have.
years? Yeah.
It's I don't have nearly as much experience doing this recording as I do playing live, so I'm still kind of just figuring out what works for me. There's a lot that I definitely wish I had, in hindsight, done differently or been more patient on, or advocated for kind of what I heard in my head a little more.
Right.
But at the same time, I didn't have the experience to know that it was even what I wanted at the time. More in terms of like drum parts and like,
Sure.
Hey, can you give me more reverb? Can you give me? I want the mastering of the. I want the mix on my voice to have this
Right.
kind of effect.
I need cowbell on every downbeat. Yeah.
And things like that. Or I want to layer in more synth parts here and.
I need "Don't Stop Believing" in the chorus if you can. Can you just add that? Yeah.
Well, not letting like, oh my God, I'm at 3 hours, I'm gonna have to pay X amount. Like just be in the studio, get it how you want, don't worry about what it's gonna cost. Like, get it how, just take your time. It's like, I tend to be like, oh I can't money. Like, God, that's my biggest takeaway from. I really do like the recording process, but that's the thing I have to teach myself to kind of relax about, I think.
Yeah. It's a fun experience regardless.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
No, and every time I go in now, I'm more comfortable, I'm more confident, I really have more fun every time.
Yeah. It's a great feeling, for sure.
It's such a cool feeling, yeah.
Yeah. And then, and we could definitely talk more about this on another episode. We all work some degree in the restaurant industry. You have a favorite food that you liked cooking, or when you worked in the industry, or serving up?
So
part of the tasty twist.
I never cooked or served food. I was a bartender for a little
Yeah.
bit. Let's see, that's a great question. My favorite,
Desert island. What can you have on a desert island the rest of your life?
Especially my favorite food to cook is probably like stir fry. Feel healthy and tasty.
Yeah.
Probably survive on a desert island with that.
You can make it unhealty also too.
Totally.
Actually, you can make anything unhealthy.
But I'm gonna go with that probably for favorite food to cook.
Sweet.
Yeah, when I was a bartender, my favorite thing to do would be like pour beer because it's the quickest.
Of course, yeah.
Be like, here you go.
Yeah. Here's all these mixed drinks you got to learn in 5 minutes. Go.
Well, and in the mixed drinks too, this isn't as strong as I make it at home. Like,
okay, cool.
Probably not. Like,
probably not.
I was like, I'm trying to make money. Like,
yeah. Well, they got all these weird names now. Hey, can I get a double John Hammond with a green chair stamp mojito?
Yeah.
Okay, what's in that?
What?
Yeah, what? Can you give me a hand? Oh, it's just a Tito's on the rock. Okay, great. Thank you. That I know. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah.
Some convoluted.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, pizza and wings would be
Pizza and wings.
Yeah, for a desert island, stuck on a desert island. Yeah.
Honestly, I could probably live off pizza and wings.
Tough not to.
Yeah. I like the stir fry on a desert island because if I don't necessarily want like the stir fry, like, ooh, today I'll have like the broccoli. Today I'll have the chicken.
Very island based also too, those types of foods. Yeah, for sure. We have more that we can get into with foods and the recording and just life. We have a lot more that we can talk about the next time.
I'll come back and we'll dive even deeper.
Absolutely, yeah. And that, my friends, is going to conclude episode number 9 of The Tasty Twist with Sammy B, with your host, Sammy Blanchett. Shout out to Allegra Larson. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you. you.
And shout out once again, Peter, Rebecca, and Patrick for everybody here. And
Shout out Sammy for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And guys, once again, as always, download all the things. Check them out on okemovalley.tv. You can view the episodes on my website, sammybmusic.com, and soon to be on Allegra's website as well, too, when it's released. Don't forget to subscribe to Okemo Valley TV's YouTube channel. Download their mobile app on your smartphones or your smart TV. And thank you guys once again. Allegra, thank you again.
Thank you.
And tomorrow, for episode number 10, we're going to be recording with the band Unqualified down in the Londonderry area. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of The Tasty Twist. Happy Tuesday, August 20th, 2024.
Woo!
Cheers, peace and love.
Thank you. Bye.
Don't you worry now, my darling.